Hello and welcome back to Learn Linux TV. In today's video, I am going to do something that I've never done before and make an entire video that has nothing to do with Linux. Now I could argue that it kind of does because it's about something that affects me personally, and I'm a Linux fan, and maybe it affects some of you Linux fans out there, and if it doesn't, maybe you know someone who it does affect. And today I am going to talk about ADD, Attention Deficit Disorder. Now the reason why I decided to do this video is because October is actually ADD Awareness Month, and what I wanted to do was, well, spread awareness. And I'll give you the usual disclaimer, I am not a doctor, I troubleshoot computers and servers, not humans, but I thought if maybe I shared my personal experience that maybe it might help some of you out there at least understand ADD if nothing else, and if it does affect you personally, maybe it'll encourage you to seek treatment. Now, of course, in the mental health industry, there are all kinds of different situations that you might be in, and maybe the symptoms of one thing mirrors another, and there are symptoms of other conditions that actually mirror ADD in some ways. So, everyone's ADD experience is different. Some people might have all the symptoms, none of the symptoms, a few of the symptoms. So it's different for everyone. So don't take my personal experience as some kind of formula for troubleshooting yourself. Basically, if you think you might have ADD, all you have to do is talk to someone who specializes in that. They might be able to help you out and help you understand if it is something that you are dealing with. Now, specific to me, I've struggled with ADD for, well, my whole life, and that's the way ADD is. It's not something that you grow out of. Well, some people may, but most of the time you don't. It's usually detected in children. Maybe they're just more hyperactive than normal. They're not paying attention. And to an extent, kids have trouble paying attention, and some of them even have a lot of trouble just getting excited about school. So it could be kind of hard to tell the difference, but ADD is kind of a whole different extreme. And the thing is, if you do have ADD as a child, there's a very high percentage of a chance that you will still have it as an adult, and it will still impact you in some way. As for me, I was diagnosed about 3 or 4 years ago, so most of my life I didn't even know I had ADD. There were some things about myself I just didn't understand, and my diagnosis helped me understand some of my own, I'll call them shortcomings, but some people might call some of the symptoms of ADD a superpower. More on that later. But I was having a lot of trouble, just getting things done. I was procrastinating a lot. And sometimes I just had trouble getting motivated to get things done. I've suffered from burnout and all kinds of things. And people can look at my, LinkedIn profile, my resume, and even the number of videos that I have on my YouTube channel. And people might be under the impression like, wow, he makes a lot of content. He's, working really hard. And, that is true, but, people don't see what actually happens on the other side of the camera, because while you might be enjoying one of my videos and you might think, wow, that's a great tutorial, that was awesome, what you might not know is that it could have taken me a week to even get the motivation to do that video in the first place. Or maybe my anxiety gets so bad that I stutter a lot and I have to spend an hour editing a video that I edit down to 15 minutes if it's an hour-long piece of footage. Something like that. I mean, there's all kinds of things that I struggle with, and sometimes it's very hard, and a lot of the things that you see that I do might come up last minute. Now, most of that is not a problem today because I basically sought treatment, and I've been undergoing treatment for a long time, so procrastination hasn't really been an issue for me for a while now, but it has been an issue for most of my adult life. I would be at work just wondering, why am I not getting anything done? My boss wants this report by Friday, but I can't even, type the first sentence of this report. And, I'll have a week notice that a report is due. And then, that Friday, an hour before I have to turn it in, it's like, oh crap, I got this report. I have to do it right now. And I haven't even started on it at all. And then I deliver the report. My boss is actually happy. And all of my employers have been happy because on their end, I turn in everything on time. But honestly, what they don't know is that it could have taken a lot of struggle to even get the motivation to do it. It might have been very hard for me to focus on whatever the topic is if it isn't something that I'm interested in. It could just be a real challenge to navigate life with ADD. Now, another thing that I deal with as a part of ADD is forgetfulness. Every now and then I'm, looking for my car keys, for example, and I might spend 30 minutes looking for my car keys just to discover that they were in my pocket the entire time. And that happens a lot. It's pretty embarrassing, but it is what it is. ADD impacts, professional and personal relationships because people might think that you're not paying attention to them because you don't care about them. When in actuality, ADD is, it's a mix of attention that is uneven. Maybe you might spend a lot of time focusing on one thing, but not enough time focusing on the things that you actually have to get done. It's like, oh, Game Boy, I found my old Game Boy. I got to play this Game Boy. This is cool. Have you seen my Game Boy? It's great. I used to play this as a kid. It's awesome. What report? I have to do a report? It's just all these weird, funny things. And, I try to laugh about it as I can. But in actuality, this really does impact personal and professional relationships, like I've mentioned, and could be a very, very big deal. And, my symptoms, which are, lack of attention, which is very common. Sometimes I'm very grumpy, forgetfulness. I, procrastinate, like I mentioned. I have some real problems here. And, I decided to seek treatment for this. And I did, and it's been life-changing for me, and it's something that I'm very glad that I've done. Now, one thing that I benefit from as part of having ADD is hyperfocus. I've recently written an entire book, Mastering Ubuntu Server 3rd edition. I just finished it. It's going to be out very soon. And I'm not here to talk about that book, but the reason why I bring it up is because it's a huge book. I mean, there's at least over 600 pages. I don't even have the full page count just yet. It might even be closer to 700. I guess we'll see. And, there were some times where it was really hard to write that book, but most of the time I hyper-focused on that. And I could finish like 2 or 3 chapters in a single day. And no, I wasn't rushing. I just couldn't pry myself away from it. And that's what hyperfocus actually is. It's like you get a burst of energy to get something done. And if the hyperfocus is for something you have to get done, like a project at work or something you're required to do, then it's like a superpower because you're going to get that project done faster than anyone with greater attention to detail. It's going to be amazing. But you don't get to choose what you hyperfocus on. Sometimes you hyperfocus on something that you're not supposed to be doing, like playing PlayStation, or in my case, retro gaming. I might try to beat Chrono Trigger again, or Final Fantasy VI, or something like that, when I really should be doing a report that is due, or maybe even make a video for this channel. So sometimes I have to really condition myself to make sure that I'm paying attention to the things that I need to be paying attention to. Now, one thing that I've learned as part of this process is that it's very important to seek treatment from someone who specializes in ADD. They'll be able to tell you if you do have it or if you don't. Now, in my case, getting tested for ADD was a month-long process of intense questionnaires, and I even had to give questionnaires to friends and family to have them fill out questions about me and my behaviors. So that way my psychologist could get a better understanding of how I am as a person. And after that month-long process, which was a lot of work, I came out with a diagnosis. Now, it could have gone the other way. Maybe the psychologist would have came to the conclusion that I don't have ADD, and then maybe my issues could have been due to something else, but that's what I was diagnosed with. It fits, and it taught me to relearn myself. And it gave me some understanding of, why do I do the things that I do? Why do I have trouble getting motivated or getting things done? I have an issue with procrastination. Why is that? It helped me really understand that. But I was very careful to mention to seek treatment from someone who specializes in ADD. And the reason why I said specializes in ADD is because I don't feel like this is something you want to go to a general practice person. Now, no insult to anyone who is a general practitioner in the world of mental health. Everyone is awesome in mental health. I love the industry quite a bit, but when it comes to something like this, if you suspect that you might have this, then you do want to talk to someone who knows about ADD and specializes in that, because there's no better person to talk to possibly get a diagnosis if you do have this condition. Now, in the description below, I will leave some resources for some online questionnaires that you can fill out that'll give you an idea that you may or may not have it. Obviously, that is not a diagnosis. It's just basically a way for you to know, yeah, you should probably talk to someone, or, maybe know that, this doesn't describe you. Maybe you may not feel like you have ADD, but I wanted to at least raise awareness about ADD. So that way, if any of you out there that were struggling like I was, maybe it'll encourage you to take that next step and find out if this is something that you have. Now, like I mentioned, this has been a big impact on my life, getting treatment, after the diagnosis and everything. But before that, I mentioned that it was really hard for me to get motivated. I mean, I would literally be having trouble being motivated to do the things I want to do. Like maybe I have some free time and I want to play an awesome video game that I've just purchased, and I just can't make myself do it. I can't even pick up the controller. And that might, mirror depression, but I wasn't depressed. I was excited about playing that game, or maybe checking out that Linux distribution, or setting up a new server that I bought. But some days I just didn't have the motivation to get started. I really wanted to, but it kind of felt like a lack of energy, like I was, behind glass, and there's this thing in front of me that I want really bad, and I can't even get my hand over to it to pick it up and, do something with it. And that never made sense. Why would I be excited about something and then not even be able to do anything with it? So, I've decided at that point to find out why, and that led to me, getting the diagnosis, like I mentioned, and then treatment. And then after that, I educated myself on ADD. It's something that affects me and both of my kids. We all have it. We are the ADD family, not the Addams family, although we're similarly weird like the Addams family. But no, actually, we are the ADD family. That's just something that we struggle with. But, with the understanding that we have, it's made it a lot easier. So I highly recommend that you check out the links below if this is something that you might think that you suffer from. If you have any problems with attention, motivation, procrastination, maybe you change subjects constantly, maybe you interrupt people in the middle of their sentences constantly, as I often do. You forget your car keys like every day virtually. You forget all of your appointments. You're late for meetings because you can't seem to remember that you even had a meeting in the first place. Then you got to make excuses as far as why you didn't attend or why you were late, things like that. There's a symptoms list in the description below that you can check out. But since this is ADD Awareness Month, I wanted to raise awareness regarding ADD, and well, I've done that. I think this video has successfully raised awareness to you guys out there that have subscribed. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to make this Learn Mental Health TV or anything like that. This isn't a mental health channel, but I love the mental health industry, and I want to get rid of stigma wherever I can, whether it be something like ADD, bipolar, anxiety disorders, or whatever it might be, because there's no weakness in getting help. We are a tribal species. We have evolved from groups and groups of people. So we have always needed the support of others to have, positive mental health and things like that. So there's no harm in asking for help and talking to someone and getting treatment if you need it. So I'm hoping that in spirit of ADD Awareness Month that this video has raised awareness, and maybe this will be life-changing for some of you out there. And, definitely, again, check out the links below, because there's also some awesome YouTube channels in the description below that I have personally watched many, many times that has been very helpful to me. But after this video, I will get back to the Linux content that you have subscribed for. But, there you go. That was my video on ADD. I hope that was helpful for you guys. I hope that raised awareness, removed some stigma if there was any, and maybe you've learned something. Maybe this was beneficial in some way. So I really appreciate you hanging in there and listening to me babble on and on and on about ADD. But it is a very important topic, and I wanted to create a video about that, and, well, I did. So if you haven't already done so, please subscribe. I have some awesome Linux content coming very, very soon. So stay tuned for that. I can't wait for you guys to see some of the videos that I am coming out with. And if you like this video, please click that like button, and I will see you again very soon. Thanks for watching.